Breakthrough. Holocaust skeptics testify to House committee. For public schools, Holocaust education is compulsory in most of the 50 U.S. states. More states steadily join this brainwashing list, a movement spearheaded by California in 1985. New Hampshire passed a law to that effect in 2020. At the same time, New Hampshire's state legislature formed a Commission on Holocaust and Genocide Education. This commission is to study best practices for teaching students about the Holocaust and other genocides. It is to report its findings and recommendations to New Hampshire's legislature and, moreover, is to monitor the implementation of this compulsory education. The commission consists of 13 members, 7 of which are either legislators or specialists in education. The other 6 consists of 2 representatives of Christian churches, the rest of Jewish-dominated groups, most prominently among them a member of the Anti-Defamation League. In its current form, this commission would be disbanded in late 2026. For that reason, House Bill number 1162 was proposed in late 2025, which would extend the existence of this Holocaust Commission for 3 more years to late 2029. When one of New Hampshire's representatives found out about this bill, he had the idea to submit an amendment to it, asking to extend the list of commission members by 1 more person, quote, a representative of the Bradley Smith 2014 Charitable Trust appointed by the Trust, unquote. Who or what is the Bradley Smith 2014 Charitable Trust? This is a trust formed in 2014 into which Bradley Smith put all assets relating to the Committee for Open Debate on the Holocaust, or CODO for short. That's a free speech organization Smith had co-founded in 1990. It is dedicated to lobbying for free speech where it matters most, that is to say, where it is most threatened. It is the world's most active organization contesting the Orthodox Holocaust narrative, with its online presence at www.codo.com. It publishes the scholarly historical periodical Inconvenient History and co-sponsors the prestigious series Holocaust Handbooks. As of early 2026, the series, unparalleled in its scope and scale, consists of 54 volumes of thorough forensic and archival studies on the Holocaust. On January 14, 2026, House Bill 1162 to extend the lifespan of the Holocaust Commission, as well as the suggested amendment to add a member of CODO to this commission, were heard at the Executive Departments and Administration Committee of the New Hampshire House of Representatives. During hearings of this committee, members of the public are allowed to testify for or against a pending bill or an amendment proposed for it. Here is how that hearing went.
Thank you. Today we will hear 11 bills focused largely on the retirement system. I will give a few more of the introductory remarks after we have this first hearing because Representative Selig needs to be in 3 places at once. And with that, I will open the hearing on House Bill 1162.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Leon and committee members. For the record, I am Lauren Selig. I represent Durham, which is Stratford District 10, and I'm here to introduce HB 1162. I am very honored to have been appointed to serve on the Holocaust and Genocide Education Commission along with Representative Leon. The commission is currently in the middle of a series of work to revamp the types of educational offerings we're providing to teachers across the state to further enhance their ability to teach about Holocaust and genocide education. And we are deep in the throes of evaluating what's been done, getting survey results back, and developing new programming. And so we are simply asking for a 3-year extension on the timeline of the committee so that we can get the work done. And that's all I'm asking for, is a 3-year extension. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much. And we have Representative Samuran Deshwanair, if you would like to come speak.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm State Representative Matt Saborn Deshwanair, and today I'm introducing an amendment to HB 1162 that's being passed out right now, taking advantage of the 2029 extension request to include the Bradley Smith 2014 Charitable Trust, also known as the Committee for the Open Debate on the Holocaust, as a member of the New Hampshire Commission of Holocaust and Genocide Education. I visited the Dachau concentration camp in Dachau, Germany, following my deployment to the Middle East in support of Operation Inherent Resolve. As I stood at the camp's entrance, I was truly proud proud of the plaque recognizing the U.S. Army's Rainbow Division liberation at the camp
pause for a moment,
in
please?
April 1945.
Could you pause for just a moment, please? We don't, this feels like a display. Could you please not put those books all on the table because we don't have, basically we don't have presentations and that sort of thing
Okay,
in spoken word.
that's not a problem. Yep.
If you could please just move those over to the other table on the side where the sign-in sheets are, I'd appreciate that.
Would you accept this as written testimony?
I assume, I'll check with the clerk probably, but that's, I will check with that and see. But if you can move those over to the side, that would be very helpful.
Cool. Thank you. We passed the entrance and made our way to the gas chamber crematorium. And we're walking through the chamber, seeing the removed shower heads on the ceiling. There were the wall vents where the cyclone pellets were placed, and taking a moment to reflect because the sacrifices of others who came before me, I was able to walk out of the Dachau gas chamber that day. Others in the past were not so fortunate. Later on, I was shocked to learn that there was, in fact, never an active homicidal gas chamber at the Dachau camp. How could that be? This was the first doubt in my mind that over time led towards a revisionist thinking about the Holocaust. I was excited to learn about a group called the Committee for the Open Debate on the Holocaust. They ask tough questions and conduct professional research, something that we should all take seriously. They have produced a series of books, which you just saw, up to 54 volumes right now, covering all aspects of the Holocaust. Holocaust historical revisionism as a science does not deny that Jews were persecuted or deprived of their civil rights or deported or herded into ghettos. It does not deny that many were killed. But it does seek to learn why, how, and when they died, and it seeks to separate the truth from the fiction. This is vitally important knowledge for the Holocaust and Genocide Education Commission curriculum development. If we are going to have Holocaust and genocide education taught in New Hampshire public schools, which I think it should be, it needs to be accurate and reliable. We are offering to submit an entire set that we see over there as written testimony. Anyone can read about the work at codo.com, that's codoh.com, or at holocausthandbooks.com. As a former military officer, an Eagle Scout, a citizen, and elected rep, if I think that the public should know about something that might be important, I'm going to want to share that. And I encourage the committee to please support my amendment and commit to our country's solemn tradition of academic freedom, the pursuit of truth at all costs, enabling the freedom of scientific discovery and inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Sytek?
No,
Could you push the button?
If that testimony is written, would you mind submitting it to me, please?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Representative Groda?
Thank you. Are you, can you speak to the amendment that you just submitted to the committee? Because I don't believe your testimony.
That's correct. It's adding an additional member to the commission.
And you're replacing the bill with this? Because that's what it's, amend the title bill by replacing it with the following, amend the bill by inserting. So you're just, are you adding this to the existing bill?
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore you support extending the?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
I did want to state that we also will be limiting testimony to 3 minutes. Other than the prime sponsor, we will take questions, which will allow you to share that there may be something that you may want us to ask about because it's an area of knowledge. But as we do this, this is so that we can make sure that everybody who's taken time out of their day is able to have time to be heard. Next, I will call Henry Hershkovitz. I hope I did that all right. Up to speak. If you could push the button so the red light comes on, that would be great. Thank you.
Still good morning. And my name's Henry Hershkovitz. I'm a retired mechanical engineer from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Speaking on 1162 and the amendment. Many people, possibly some members of the current New Hampshire Commission on Holocaust and Genocide Education, recoil at Holocaust revisionism. The eyewitness testimonies are just too overwhelming for anyone to doubt their claims, people tell me. Today I'd like to look at one such testimony by a Jewish man named Herman Rosenblatt. Rosenblatt wrote a book called Angel at the Fence, the true story of a love that survived. It's on Amazon. Here's what Amazon has to say about it. During World War II, Herman was forced into labor camps with his brothers. It was a Schlieffen labor camp in Germany that Herman met his angel. Night after night, a young Jewish girl who lived outside the camp met Herman at the fence, bringing him food and, more importantly, hope. After the war, when Herman was forging a new life for himself in New York, the most astounding miracle occurred. On a double date, he met a girl from Poland, a girl with an angelic face and the memory of helping a young boy in a concentration camp survive. Oprah Winfrey, at the time owning the highest-rated daytime TV show, had Herman on twice to tell his story. Oprah described his book as the single greatest love story in 22 years of doing this show. Unfortunately for Oprah, Herman's story was a complete fraud from beginning to end, exposed by revisionists and even by Holocaust scholars like Deborah Lipstadt. They determined that the girl had never been anywhere near the Schlieffen labor camp, and the additional claim that made by Herman that he was scheduled to be gassed at Theresienstadt was likewise false, because even Deborah knows that Theresienstadt was never considered a so-called death camp. Paraphrasing Holocaust revisionist Robert Faurisson, eyewitness testimony without cross-examination is not evidence. Am I singling out only one storyteller? Far from it. Dr. Rudolf Verba and Arnold Friedman told equally unbelievable tales, but unfortunately for them, they were forced to undergo cross-examination at the Ernst Zundel Holocaust trial in Toronto in 1985. This cross-examination shredded their story so badly that both refused to return for the retrial 3 years later. I urge this panel to support the amendment to HB 1162 to include the voices of the Committee for Open Discussion on the Holocaust, so that New Hampshire students will be presented with both sides of historical events. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you willing to take questions from the committee?
Oh, I sure will.
Okay. Representative Sellers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question to you, sir, is because of your last few words you just said. Are they not getting both sides now?
I believe they're not. I can speak for Michigan, which has mandatory Holocaust education laws, that they are being presented in Michigan with falsehoods, in easily correctable historical falsehoods. So you got me on that. I can't speak for New Hampshire.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Also, I will ask that any committee members that do have questions, if you just push your button, that way I'll know if I should ask them, if they want to take questions, or if I don't need to ask the question. So thank you. Next, I will call German Rudolph, please.
So my name is Germa Rudolph. I have a background as a PhD level scientist, and I'm currently manager of the Committee for Open Debate of the Holocaust. I have under my belt 35 years of research, organizing research, conducting and publishing research of forensic and archival nature in the Holocaust question. And in this context, I have published roughly 100 books on that topic. I've written 15 of them myself. Among them is the hard-hitting research series, Holocaust Handbooks. I've brought quite a few of them with me here. I've also authored an encyclopedia on the topic, which is at the bottom here, published in several languages. Now, this series is unique in its scale and scope. If I have, with the handout on the page 2, you see here a comparison when it comes, for instance, to the Auschwitz camp. We see the most prolific authority on the mainstream is the Auschwitz Museum itself, has published one book on the extermination events at that camp, whereas we in this series have published some 12 volumes going into much more detail. If you look
at the page 2 of this handout, we see that revisions to the Holocaust narrative, done even by the mainstream on the chart you see here, are quite common. The Majdanek death toll claims have been reduced from initially 2 million down to not even 4% today, and in the process, 5 of the originally claimed 7 gas chambers have been discarded by mainstream scholars, not by us skeptics. You go into the next page, you see that in Majdanek camp, massive reduction of death tolls are not unique to that camp. They are common for all camps. Initial death toll claims were massively overblown, usually Soviet wartime propaganda. They all had to be corrected. If you go to the next page, you see it's not just the numbers that were scholars gotten wrong, also the methods with which extermination is said to have happened, they were vastly wrong. In the middle column, you see all the claims that were made during the war and after the war and that have been abandoned. And on the right side, you see what is claimed today. And even that is contestation when it comes to diesel gas chambers. You go to the next page. Why do we struggle to find and tell the truth on that topic? One of the Auschwitz scholars at the Auschwitz Museum said in 1998, during communist times for 40 years, they were threatened with disciplinary measures if they didn't tell the lie of the Soviets, and only later on they were free. However, ironically, 1998 was also the year when Poland passed a law that puts everyone with up to 3 years in prison who contests the current narrative. If you go to the next page, Poland is not a unique case. Most Western countries, by now 27, prescribe the writing of history on that topic with penal law, with government guns drawn. I have had many discussions with mainstream historians in private, and they have expressed their fear to tell what they really think, because persecution and prosecution is common in that field. Now we offer my expertise, which is, I think, unique with all this research, by having an additional member and offering not only this unique, unparalleled insight into the topic, but also the courage to tell inconvenient facts, which a lot of people don't want to hear, but I think students need to be told both sides.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there any questions from the committee? Representative DeRoy?
Thank you for coming and talking about this. I've been there. I've seen all of that. I felt it when I walked around. And I think it's a travesty that we're trying to hide the truth about what's happened in the past. And I want to thank you all for bringing this to our committee today. And I think all students everywhere should know about what happened.
Is there a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's only for questions, not for commentary.
So my question would be, why do they want to cover this up?
Sorry.
Is that a good question?
No, that's not really an appropriate question.
No?
I couldn't speak for third parties, no.
It's not really an appropriate question. So
Right.
thank you very, very much for your testimony. Representative Sytek?
Mr. Rudolph, are you speaking in support of the amendment or the bill?
The bill is in general for the amendment. I'm speaking for the amendment to have an additional member on the committee. I'm actually the manager of that committee, which is suggested to add a member to that committee.
Thank you. And last, I'll call David Scribina. If you push the button, the red light will come on. Thank you.
There we go. Yes, hello, good morning. So my name is David Scribina. I'm from the state of Michigan. I'm here to speak in support of the amendment. I also support the bill, but I support the amendment to HB 1162. I hold a PhD in humanities, taught at several universities over the last 20 years, mostly at the University of Michigan. I've also taught at other colleges in the U.S. and Europe. As a college educator, I've spent years discussing the importance of critical thinking, viewpoint diversity, and open-minded pursuit of the truth. Such things are needed today more than ever and on all topics. Lacking these things, we risk falling prey to one-sided ideologies and self-interested parties. In all areas and all topics, we need a diversity of views so we have the best chance of reaching the truth. The Holocaust is no different. As a historical event of great importance, we must examine all sides of this topic with an open mind. Exaggerations, lies, gross errors, and physical impossibilities must be identified and rooted out if we are to learn from this event and to do justice to its many victims. Unfortunately, as I understand it, the current commission is composed entirely of those who represent the conventional orthodoxy. I suspect that they unquestioningly accept aspects of the Holocaust.
Sir, could you please not ascribe motives or the opinions of people who are on the commission and just speak to the facts that you're presenting to us?
And not do what, sorry?
And not make assumptions about the opinions of those on the commission.
I'm just stating my opinion, but yeah.
Okay, then
sorry.
it's your opinion that
Yeah, of
is
course,
the case.
exactly. Yes, I support the commission. I think it's probably doing good work, but I think it has to have people who will challenge conventional views, ask tough questions, and follow scientific evidence. That's really my position. I just wanted to offer a few quick examples of areas that probably need to be further examined. We are told that 6 million Jews were exterminated by the Germans, but we are not told that news accounts of 6 million Jews in danger existed in American and British newspapers for years, even decades, prior to World War II. This suggests that the 6 million number is more based on pre-existing worries or fears rather than on actual data. The Orthodox experts also tell us that the 6 million Jews were killed, but they never give us a breakdown of how they died, where they died, and when they died. So we're looking for very basic information like that. The experts themselves have a wide range of opinions on the deaths in each of the camps and in the shootings, as much as a factor of 10 difference. But if there's so much difference of opinion on with our experts, why is there no such similar questioning of the 6 million total? It doesn't make any sense. The Orthodox story also relies heavily on so-called eyewitness accounts by former Jewish inmates, but their statements are proven to contain many inconsistencies and absurdities. These need to be examined by the Commission and included in any curriculum.
Sir, if you could just make a last sentence and then conclude your
Yeah, so
testimony.
in closing, I just want to say I urge you to adopt the proposed amendment and include a Dakota representative on the highly important Commission on Holocaust Education. The victims and the survivors deserve nothing less.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Questions?
Representative Sitek?
Thank you. Mr. Scribina, what does BSCT stand for? You're representing BSCT. Who are they?
The Bradley Smith Charitable Trust.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's in the bill. In the amendment.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anybody else who's not submitted a pink card to speak on House Bill 1162 who wishes to speak? With that, I will close the hearing on House Bill 1162.
The next day, the Executive Departments and Administration Committee briefly discussed House Bill 1162. Here is an excerpt from it.
I would like to open an executive session on House Bill 1162, which is the bill to extend the Commission on Holocaust and Genocide Studies. And for the bill itself, we don't have any amendments that have been introduced by committee members. So if there's a motion that, I'd like to recognize Representative DeRoy for a motion on the bill. Yeah, ought to pass.
I'd like to recommend that we pass this bill.
You'd like to move ought to pass on
Thank you.
House Bill 1162?
1162, yes. To pass.
And seconded by Representative Grota. So would you like to speak to your motion? Or would you like me to speak to it since I'm a co-sponsor of the bill? Please. Thank you. This is what really should just be a very simple bill to allow the Commission on Holocaust and Genocide Education to continue the important work that is currently happening for another 3 years. I am a member of the Commission. I believe that it's functioning relatively well, as most commissions do, and that it is something that we should allow to continue for another 3 years. So I appreciate Representative DeRoy making that motion to move it. Representative Grota, did you want to speak to the second?
I think you explained it well. Thank you.
Thank you. Then I will allow the clerk to prepare his documents before I asked him to call the roll.
He's ready.
Are you going to open this up to the committee as well?
Oh, yes, I apologize. It's been a bit of a long day. Would anybody like to discuss this before we call the roll? Representative Pearson.
Look, regardless of the duration of time that has happened since that World War II and the horrific events that the United States military documented fairly well, that they found when they liberated those areas.
That statement exhibits a deplorable lack of basic knowledge about the Holocaust. all locations of claimed mass atrocities are in areas occupied by the Red Army, not by the US military. All 6 so-called extermination camps were located on Polish soil, and the mass shootings attributed to the so-called Einsatzgruppen all took place on territories of what used to be the Soviet Union. Still, the US military liberated several German concentration camps, but you'd be surprised what they found there. In this regard, let's listen to the one member of the US military who was at the very heart of what they discovered when conquering Germany.
Similar to this is the account given by Dr. Charles Larson, a U.S. forensic pathologist working for the U.S. Army's Judge Advocate General. Right after the war, Dr. Larson performed autopsies on hundreds of victims in some 20 former concentration camps. In 1980, a newspaper article appeared reporting about his wartime experience. We read there, "Larson has talked little publicly about the war experience. One reason for his silence has been that his autopsy findings conflicted with the widely held belief that most Jews in Nazi camps were exterminated by gassing, shooting, or poisoning. What we've heard is that 6 million Jews were exterminated. Part of that is a hoax," Larson said. "Never was a case of poison gas uncovered," he said. Larson's biographer wrote the following about this episode, quote, "In one grave, the bulldozers uncovered an estimated 2,000 bodies, many of which were subjected to autopsy examination by Major Larson. All of those autopsied had died of various conditions, such as emaciation with starvation, tuberculosis, typhus, or other infectious diseases. For the next 10 days, many nights with only an hour or two of restless sleep, Larson worked among the dead. He performed about 25 autopsies a day and superficially examined another 300 to 1,000 bodies. He autopsied only those bodies that appeared to have died questionably. Many of them died of typhus, Dr. Larson told me recently. At Dachau, Larson's work, the profile of the prisoner population that his autopsies projected, indicated that only a small percentage of the deaths were due to medical experimentation on humans. It indicated that most of the victims died from so-called natural causes at the time, that is, of disease brought on by malnutrition and filth, which are the handmaidens of war. Today, these particular camps are admitted not to have had homicidal gas chambers at all. So, none of the corpses seen in these images were gassed. What you see in these images are prisoners who died from disease, as well as a lack of appropriate food, water, and medical supplies. A large part of their condition was due to the Allies bombing supply lines to the camps. Allied fighter planes even bombed and strafed trainloads full of prisoners as they were being evacuated to different camps. Those prisoners who weren't hit by bullets or bombs were without appropriate supplies for days until arriving at their destination.
We may assume that all members of the committee here, and probably also of New Hampshire's Holocaust Commission, are oblivious of these facts, or if they aren't, that they don't plan on teaching these facts in New Hampshire schools. That's why we think a CODA representative is sorely needed on all Holocaust education commissions in the country and around the world. Now back to the committee's discussion.
I think that there really is no expiration date on learning and understanding historical events, especially ones of this magnitude. So I certainly welcome this bill in its original form and only in its original form, and I hope that we can get this on consent so we can process this through. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Howard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to second what Representative Pearson just said. I think that, we have seen a number of genocides even that have occurred since the Holocaust. The Rwandan genocide, for example. And I think that it's very important that we educate people about these atrocities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I actually will add more as a commission member. The commission is not just focused on the Holocaust, it's focused on all genocides. And one of the commission members is a survivor of a genocide, so that we can have that more contemporary knowledge of it. It's near and dear to my heart as a family where much of the tree was trimmed in the Armenian genocide. And those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it.
The currently ongoing genocide in Gaza is being perpetrated, assisted, condoned, or intentionally ignored by those who claim to have learned from the past, especially from the Holocaust. These are the same type of people who want to teach our children history lessons in order to do what exactly? Perpetrate, assist in, condone, or intentionally ignore the next genocide against unpopular ethnic groups? There must be a better way of teaching history than that.
Representative DeRoy?
How long has this commission been in place now?
I'm not certain when it was started.
Was it 21?
So, in 21?
Since in 21.
Yes, I did open the executive session. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on track. That's a very important job.
Gotta get
Thank
back
you.
in that groove again.
Yes. I don't recall when it was started. It was before I came into office, because when I was first looking at commissions that I'd be interested in, it was already in existence. So it was before 2020.
And can you tell me, just for my edification, where you go with your stories and the commission itself? Do you go into the schools? Do you go into the churches? I mean, how is it working?
So what the commission does is it helps to develop direction for curriculum in the schools. One of the large things that the commission is doing right now is doing surveys to see how genocide and Holocaust education is taught in the schools. The quality of information that we're getting back isn't all that great, just because data collection is a really big challenge within the state. Mm-hmm. One of the partners within this is the Cohen Institute, and they do a lot here in New Hampshire in order to educate more focused on the Holocaust as opposed to the larger issue of genocide. But as we move forward and make sure that this education is in school, it doesn't hurt to be focused more on one area. While once we get this established, I do want to make sure that we recognize the horrors of genocide, and we recognize that it's something that humans can very easily fall into if we aren't watching against what sometimes people do once they move into groupthink.
Breaking open the groupthink in which New Hampshire's Holocaust Commission is stuck was exactly the purpose of adding a member to the commission who is not stuck in their close-minded, incestuous worldview skewed by inaccurate and incomplete historical information.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Sytek?
Those who know the past often repeat the past.
Unfortunately, that is very, very true. But those who do not know it don't necessarily see what's ahead of them. Yes. So with that, is there anybody else? I'm sorry, Representative Schmidt.
Well, those of us who were here, and that would be most of us, have you all wiped the memory cloth over your brains, because we had an amendment offered, and we had some testimony that should show us that the other side is still around.
The other side of what? And what does he mean by still? We'll see in a moment.
Thank you. That amendment was not introduced by a committee member. Had I been faster on the game, I would not have allowed any discussion on that amendment, because unless an amendment is brought by a committee member, there is no reason to discuss it in any testimony. That was just a failure of leadership in my first hearing as the chairman. It was. I'd rather be harsh with myself so that I can improve and make sure that this process is better than to just not acknowledge that I could have done better.
There were two people here who came from Michigan to testify before us. They came from Michigan.
Yes. And I disagree with a lot of what I saw while reviewing the information that they presented. It's important to hear voices, but it's important to hear. Putting a seat at the table requires a certain level of civic mindedness, if I can say something without attributing motive. Representative Slotchi?
If I can try to paraphrase, I think what Representative Schmidt is trying to say is that we all saw what happened here, and it's a reminder of how important the work of the commission might be in making sure that what did happen doesn't happen again. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
This statement, together with the one about the other side still being around, are manifestations of extreme groupthink. It not merely refuses to consider the viewpoints of outsiders, but aims at making them disappear, or at least at stopping them from speaking out. These groupthink politicians deny people who think outside of their groupthink box any legitimacy to even exist. Their Holocaust education is not geared toward dialogue and education, but toward indoctrination, which leads to intolerance against outsiders. Far from preventing mass atrocities against minorities, this kind of groupthink foments persecution of dissidents and ultimately mass atrocities. That's why we at Kodo strive to include everyone who is willing to have a civilized, respectful, and open-minded debate on the Holocaust and anything else for that matter. Because this alone can foster understanding and diffuse tensions arising from groupthink. Check out these websites for more.